Wonderful. So we will get started with the first 26-minute segment. Here we go in 3, 2.
Hello, 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 and welcome to Finding Your Frequency. I am your special guest host, Camille Nash, sitting in for Jeff Spinard and Ryan Treasure. My goodness, I have such a special treat today. A gentleman that has really been exploding all over the internet and abroad. So let me tell you a little bit about him. Maybe I won't tell you a little bit about him just yet, because you can probably see him out there already, this lovely gentleman that is sitting right beside me. And his name, Dr. Rick Rigsby, delivered one of the most passionate speeches ever heard. More than 140 million people now worldwide have viewed the speech in a video that went viral in just a matter of days. You heard me, days. When audiences hear Rick Rigsby, they are never the same. And I'm not the same already, just only a few minutes this morning. Dr. Rick Rigsby is the president and CEO of Rick Rigsby Communications. The former award-winning journalist followed a television career with graduate school and 2 decades as a college professor, most of those years at Texas A&M University, where he also served as character coach and chaplain for the Aggies football team. Dr. Rick's dynamic presentations motivate, empower, and inspire worldwide, from Africa and Asia to the Americas, Europe, and Canada. Rick's audiences include Fortune 500 companies, academic communities, and service organizations. The internationally acclaimed speaker is a favorite amongst professional sports organizations, including the National Football League and the PGA. Named twice as an outstanding professor in the College of Liberal Arts at Texas A&M, Dr. Rick Rigsby has numerous publications. His first non-academic book, Lessons from a Third Grade Dropout, is a USA Today, Wall Street Journal, and Amazon bestseller. It is a privilege and a delight to introduce to some and present to others, that in the form of Dr. Rick Rigsby.
Wow, Camille, thank you so much. I am so honored to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Yes,
that was quite an
kindly.
introduction. You know what's funny is that the only people that like long introductions are moms.
Right. You're absolutely correct.
And moms are entitled to love those introductions. My mother would say, Camille, keep going. Keep going, girl.
Keep going. Yeah, sometimes we forget the things that we've done, but you have really made a footprint amongst the world. And truly, to my heart, I've listened to a number of things that you've done recently, and what I want to first share with you is that Finding Your Frequency is a show that's really curtailed around the digital platform, what's happening in the world digitally, and what people are doing abroad in all aspects of life. I like to refer to it as your purpose and what you've been designed to do in the world.
I love it.
So tell us, how'd you find your frequency?
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm 61 years old.
No.
I love you already. Camille, for 40 years of my life, I really want the viewers and listeners to hear this. My purpose was all about serving Rick. It was all about me.
Really?
Yeah, I was the golden boy. I was so fortunate to grow up in a home where my mother and father set high expectations, where my brother and I believed that we could do absolutely anything, and we accomplished a great deal. I married my college sweetheart. I have a job as a general assignment television reporter the day before I graduate from college. I finish a television career, go to 6 years of graduate school. I land a dream job as a college professor. I have a trophy wife. I have 2 incredible kids. And my life is great, one little problem. It is all about Rick. You can never impact anybody if it's all about you.
No.
It took the worst season of my life to find my purpose. So can I tell you about it?
Absolutely, because you had already been serving in one capacity or working, right?
Yeah,
for years, or
yeah.
maybe a decade or so.
I was even a pastor. I was a preacher. I was a minister.
Really?
And I was still serving myself.
Yeah.
Ego is the anesthesia
That's
that
good.
deadens the pain of stupidity. Let me say that one more time. Ego is the anesthesia that deadens the pain of stupidity. Pride is the burden of a foolish person. And I made life all about me, getting my needs met. What's in it for me? What can I get out of it? And I masked that really well. I mean, I was a good father. I was a good husband. I was a good reporter. But to be honest with you, I took my wife for granted. It was all about my needs being met. And so let me back up and tell you how I found my frequency.
Okay.
It starts back in the 70s when I met the finest woman I ever met in my life, baby.
All right.
Come on with your come on.
All right. See, that's a real response there,
That's a
ladies
real
and gentlemen.
response. That's
yeah.
right. Trina was a nursing student from Lompoc, California, down in Central California, and I fell in love with her instantly.
Yes.
And we dated all through college, and much to the consternation of many of the guys on campus who couldn't believe that Ricky Rigsby was dating this gorgeous woman. I couldn't even believe it. My parents couldn't even believe it. My daddy looked at her and went, "Is she psycho?" But anyway,
gosh.
I mean, it was just a fairy tale relationship.
Yeah.
We fall in love. We get married. We have a couple of children. Trina is a labor and delivery nurse. I started my television career in Chico, California, market size 139. Yeah. Boy, a lot of people claim to start at 139.
Yeah.
I actually did.
You did, right. And I know what that means.
Yes,
Not a
you
lot
did.
of people do.
Small market where you do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
ma'am.
There's beauty in that, though.
Our life is great. We're working. We're fulfilling everything that we are feel called to do. In addition to being a television reporter, I came from a faith-based family. I was a Christian man, and I felt a call to preach the gospel.
That's good.
I'm preaching the gospel, but I'm acting like a fool.
Say that again.
I'm preaching the gospel, but I'm acting like hell.
Good gosh.
And so I learned early in television. I love television. There's so many great lessons from television, but television reinforced that notion of image. And I learned how to perfect image to a T. As a matter of fact, I saw early on that you get more kudos from presenting an image that appeases the sensibilities of people than actually having to be good. Having to be good means you got to pay a deeper price.
Yes,
but
yes.
if you can put on an image and adorn it with nice clothes and look fly, nobody's going to say anything and everybody's going to like you.
Yeah.
And so I perfected that. Television reinforced that. And I lived that way. I wasn't a bad person.
Yeah, right.
I just wasn't fulfilling my purpose. I hadn't found my frequency. You're right with me. So guess what happens?
Yeah.
We're sailing along, and all of a sudden, Trina, a nurse, finds a lump in her left breast. She's 35 years old.
35.
Breast cancer. 6 years after that diagnosis, me and my boys walked up to Mommy's casket. And for 2 years, my heart didn't beat. I was mad at God. I'm his golden boy. How could bad things happen to good people?
Right.
I had not had a bad day in 40 years. Not one. Ever.
Not one?
Not one.
Like,
ever.
seriously?
Never had a bad day in 40 years.
That's impressive.
And now all of a sudden, you're going to do this to me, God? And I mean, you talk about grieving. Those in your audience, listening and watching, that have lost deeply, you have a friend in Rick.
Yeah.
I get it. You feel as though you've been amputated.
yes, yes.
You feel as though your heart has been sliced in half. I cried myself to sleep for at least a year. I would look into the faces of two motherless boys, and I would think, Lord, are they going to be damaged all their lives? I'm mad at when I see couples because that's been taken away from me. I resent when I see older couples, and all the while people are giving me their perfectly prescribed statements that I can't stand, like, oh, she's in a better place. Well, theologically, I know that, but you're not thinking theologically, you're not even thinking logically, and you want her there. Or, this is the one, Camille, that used to drive me crazy. Rick, I know just how you feel. My grandfather died.
Yeah, that's
and
the
you're
one.
thinking, this was my soulmate. This is the mother of my children. So anyway, we're lost. I have no hope. I have no reason for which to hope. I'm angry at God.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, you're probably not going to get this one, Camille. I'm even angry at Trina for abandoning us.
Because she died.
She died.
She left you in
Yeah,
your
she
mind.
left us. That's right. Now,
That's heavy.
She was fighting.
Yeah.
But she left me and she left the boys. And so I am angry. What if I were to tell you that the worst days of my life turned out to be the best days of my life?
Oh, yeah. I've heard that. That sometimes the worst days can be the best days.
That's where I found my frequency.
Good goodness.
That's where I found my frequency. That's where I found my purpose in life. What I had to do was I had to come face to face with a man who had spent 40 years making everything about himself.
Okay.
Now all of a sudden,
Narcissistic.
as you know, you have children. All of a sudden, you can't be daddy and mommy and make it all about you. You can't.
Impossible.
You can't do it. And I was forced, cornered, challenged, angrily pushed into growing up as a man. Guess what I began to realize? I began to realize, now this is taking a couple of years for me to realize this,
Right.
that my heart had to be broken so that I would have a heart for the brokenhearted. That I began to realize that my whole purpose for being on this earth was to give hope to people, and that I had missed it because I had made it all about myself. Everything that I had done in my life had prepared me for my destiny to reach my frequency. All those years in television taught me how to communicate at every level. We are storytelling animals that love stories. It taught me how to communicate on every single level in every kind of environment. 6 years of graduate school taught me how to focus and be tenacious. I developed a photographic memory.
Yeah.
20 years of being
That's
a
good.
college professor taught me how to interact with people, taught me how to write, how to think deeply. Years as a pastor gave me a compassionate heart for people. You know what's amazing? Even, and I want you to listen to this, folks, even if you don't know your purpose, you're being prepared every single day.
Every day. It's interesting you say that because I always say that you're always being prepared for what's already prepared for you constantly. Today's show, everyone, is about of being afraid to hope.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about with Dr. Rick Rigsby today. You said something today. I didn't know that you were a former pastor.
Yeah.
So we
Still
have,
am.
Still am.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So you still are a pastor.
Still are.
Isn't that something? Okay, so you said, and this will help a lot of people out there. There were some. That's okay. There were some challenges with your faith.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So, with challenges with your faith, how do you break past that?
Yeah, great question. And who do you talk to when you're a minister and you're mad at God?
Yeah.
You're a minister and you're
You're a
mad.
pastor,
Yeah, you
not
got
just
some,
a minister.
You got some serious issues.
Goodness, and a lot of us, a lot of
Oh
them
my
do.
gosh.
Yeah.
Guess what helped me a whole lot?
Yeah.
Jesus on the cross asking questions like, why has thou forsaken me? Actually gave me comfort. If he can ask a question, then I can ask a question. I found that during my time, God was never intimidated by me raising my voice at
all.
him. He was never intimidated by me being angry at him. You know what I love? I love having conversations with people that are not Christians. I love having conversations with my Buddhist friends, with my Muslim friends. I love learning from them and having good, deep conversations, because I think people who ask questions, people who question, people who challenge are people who grow. I was in a growing period that was forced upon me, and I'm going, God, how could you do this? How could you leave me? Isn't it funny how we play spiritual scoreboard?
I know, yes.
I've gone to church. I've preached over here. I'm not out killing nobody. I'm not running around town. I'm one of your good
Faithful.
ones. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it has nothing, see, everything I just said has everything to do with Rick.
That's right.
Oh,
Yourself.
Camille. Here's where I'm coming. Here's where I'm
all
coming.
right.
If you can get beyond the chains and the shackles of your own sense of self-importance, you can change the world. You can change the world. There was always a goal in my life to help other people, but Rick was in the way, and Rick never saw it. There's a guy named J.C. Penney who was pretty decent retailer. He said,
The one we know.
he said on one occasion, give me a stock clerk with a goal, and I'll give you a person who makes history. Give me a person with no goal, and I'll give you a stock clerk.
Powerful.
I never saw my frequency because I stood in the way. And now here I am at rock bottom. And I am so angry at God. I am angry at Trina. I am resentful. I am mad. And to answer your question, how did I resolve it? I kept breathing. I kept shouting.
Say that. Wait, stop right there and say
Yeah,
that again.
I kept
because
breathing.
that is a real challenge for
Yes.
many.
Yes, it is. You know, I forget about trying to make it through next week.
Yeah.
How about trying to make it through the next hour?
Yeah, or the next
Yeah,
minute.
Or the next minute.
Yeah.
I remember a time I was so messed up in grief that I went to Texas A&M University on a Tuesday. I taught on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah.
I had a class at 9:45. I got there at 9 o'clock. I had a class at 9:45 and a class at 11 and office hours in the afternoon. I sat at my desk at 9. About 10 minutes later, one of my colleagues came in and said, "Rick, why don't you just go home?"
Yeah, yeah.
I said, "No, I have classes to teach." He said, it's 10 after 5. The entire day had gone by, but I thought it was just 10 minutes. When you're grieving, there's no sense of normalcy.
Yeah.
When you're grieving, nothing makes sense. When you're grieving, God is on a mountain someplace, and you're wondering, where are you? You know, there's an interesting scripture. I go through the rose. I go through the valley alone while there's still dew on the rose. I may have misquoted that, but the point is, some things you have to go through all by yourself.
All by yourself, yeah.
And so I started questioning my existence. I started questioning my faith. I started questioning God. I started questioning everything that I took for granted. And I came to this conclusion: I'm not God.
You're not.
There
is one, but I'm not him.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
And then something happened. I asked myself, after 9 months of crying myself to sleep, can anything good come out of this? I started saying things like, maybe if.
Maybe.
What I
Okay.
didn't realize, I was taking baby steps toward hoping again. Those baby steps started leading to, I'm feeling a peace. Where's this peace coming from? I'm hurting like crazy.
Passes
but
all
I'm
understanding.
Yes. What's amazing is this, Camille, and this is what I would tell your viewers
We're going to take a quick break.
and your listeners, to keep breathing.
So say that again, and then
Keep-
we're going to take a quick break.
Despite how you feel, keep breathing. Keep fighting. What my father would say, keep standing.
We're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Finding Your Frequency, and I am being joined by the Honorable Dr. Rick Rigsby. We'll be right back.
Alrighty.
Yes, I called you Honorable.
All clear, Camille. That was about 9 minutes short.
Oh, I saw 30 seconds. Okay, my bad.
That might have been like the previous.
Yeah, it
Once.
was, but I saw him. He's coughing, and I saw 30 seconds. I thought we're good. So, how much time for this next one? We'll go a little longer than 26.
Yeah. So we will do.
I saw this, and you start coughing. I'm like, let him cough, and say it again. I'm listening. Justin.
Sorry. 1 second. I'm saving this clip.
That's okay. Yeah, we'll
Do you
do.
think they could bring me a bottle of water?
Absolutely. Hey, Randy.
So this next one will be 39 for you.
Oh, good. I need a favor. Can you bring me a water for Dr. Rick Rigsby or somebody?
Yeah.
Anybody?
Y'all can
1
call
second.
Me, you can just call me Rick.
Rick. His name is Rick, everybody. Rick. Hey, are you all enjoying this out there?
Oh, we're still on, huh?
Yeah, well, we're still on there, but that's okay. This is our Voice America Variety fan page. I'm going to actually go on to
Hi, y'all.
my live real quick, and we will get a few
Comments.
All right. So this one will actually be 35 minutes. Sorry.
Okay, can I have 1 extra minute?
We are actually going to be over
Excuse me.
time on that. We have a pre-record right after.
Okay,
you,
no
so
worries.
We have to be out like right on time.
No worries. We're good.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks,
you're the
Ryan.
best.
No, you're better.
Thanks, Ryan.
I don't want to cause an issue with what I did last week. I had an issue with Facebook. It may not work. I may not have enough time to get it because I think we have like 30 seconds. Anything's possible.
Here, let me push the buttons. You talk.
I want to make sure I don't mess it up like I did last week. Oh, make sure you can see us.
All right, hey Camille.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, we're gonna have to get started here because we're gonna be about 10 minutes past the hour, getting ending if we start right now. So.
Okay, we're good. I don't think it's live yet. I'm ready. Okay, 3, 2.
All righty, we're getting started here. Here we go in 3, 2.
Welcome back to the show. You are listening to Finding Your Frequency. I'm your special guest host, Camille Nash, sitting in for Jeff Spinard and Ryan Treasure. Joining me today is Dr. Rick Rigsby. We're talking about being afraid to hope. Are you afraid to hope out there? If you're listening, we also want to invite you to like our Voice America Variety fan page. You can find us on Facebook and also findingyourfrequency.net. You'll be able to watch us live. So Dr. Rick Rigsby, just before we took a break, he was beginning to talk about helping others find their frequency.
That's right. One of the things that I realized was once I got beyond myself and started realizing what my purpose is that I wanted to start being an agent of hope and helping others hope. But I had to learn not to be afraid to hope.
Yeah.
I was afraid to hope because I didn't want to feel again. My wife had just passed away months earlier. I didn't want to live again. I didn't want to trust in anybody again. I couldn't trust God because God let me down. He didn't answer my prayers the way I wanted him to. Trina let me down. I didn't want to fall in love with you, Camille, because what would happen if I fell in love and you died? And so you
didn't want to trust that.
I don't want to trust that. And so guess what I did? Instead of hoping, I medicated my pain. I medicated my pain in 2 ways. The first was feelings. My feelings determined and dictated exactly what my behavior wanted to be. And so if I didn't feel like getting up, I didn't. If I didn't feel like coming over to your house for dinner, I didn't. If I didn't feel like going to church, I didn't. If I felt like eating, I would, which was my second food of choice. Guess what? There's no social stigma associated with the drug of food. And so
let's talk about that.
I don't have to worry about drunk driving. I don't have to worry about doing drugs. I don't have to worry about having sex. All I can do is I can control my environment. And what I would do is food became my mistress. It became my lover. It became my best friend. You're not going to tell me how much I can eat. I can gain tremendous comfort and satisfaction in eating food. As a matter of fact, I can pacify myself into passivity, which means neutral,
Yes.
which means no forward progress, by simply sitting and eating. So food became my crutch. Food became my fix. I ballooned up to over 400 pounds.
Wait a minute. Did you say 400 pounds?
Over 400.
Over 400
Yeah,
pounds.
I've lost about 100.
Okay.
I still have about 80 to go.
Okay.
But I ballooned up to over 400 pounds. You're not going to tell me what to eat.
So you were anesthetizing your pain
Yes.
with food. Okay.
Yes. And I
Okay.
think that's what people tend to do.
Yeah.
When I see people that are struggling, there's usually something that's deeper. There's some enemies of hope. The biggest enemy of hope was disappointment for
Yeah.
me. I was so disappointed. But listen to this. It's in that disappointment where there's an opportunity.
Yes, of
Oh,
course.
boy.
Of course.
Ralph Waldo Emerson said an opportunity missed is an opportunity lost. But his mentee was a man by the name of Thoreau. And here's one of my favorite quotes. If we will be quiet and ready enough, we shall find compensation in every disappointment.
Yeah.
What I was learning
be
was
quiet.
To quiet my spirit and to say, okay, Trina's not coming back. I can't do anything about that. What can I do? It caused me to start thinking, what if? It caused me to start saying things like maybe. It caused me to start dreaming again. It caused me to start thinking about a better outcome. I found myself slowly changing my thinking.
Yeah. Now, the listeners, many people have heard you around the world. Over 149 million viewers have viewed that famous speech of yours.
Yeah.
And right now, I love that you're talking about the pit that you were really in,
Yeah.
and how you had to actually maybe rediscover yourself to some degree and dig yourself out.
I did. I really did. You're so right, Camille. I had to discover who I was. I didn't even know who I was.
Yeah.
Do you know it's entirely possible to die without knowing who you are?
Yes.
Do you know that a lot of people died a
lot.
few years ago? They're just waiting for their funerals. I was one of those. I don't condemn them. Sometimes it takes the most difficult, horrific. Oh, friends, I want you to listen to me.
Yes.
You may be in a pit right now wondering why. It's that very pit that can clarify your frequency. It is that very pit that can clarify your purpose in life. I never realized that my purpose was to help people. It was to encourage people. It was to lift people up.
Yeah.
I never realized that to be fully dressed means I have to put a smile on my face every day.
Okay.
I never realized that. I never realized the opportunities every single day. I had to be forced to be in a situation where I would be quiet so that I could see compensation in every disappointment. I started thinking about opportunities. It goes back to that speech. The wisest man I ever met in my life was my daddy, a third-grade dropout. The last lesson he taught me was at Trina's casket. He said, son, just stand. Now,
stand.
I want you to hold that for just 1 second.
Just stand.
Just stand.
Yes.
Hold that for 1 second.
Hold it.
The last words that my wife shared with me that I can remember, 2 days before she died, she said, it doesn't matter to me any longer how long I live. What matters to me most is how I live. Now watch this. Just stand. How am I living? Just stand. How am I living? I began to put those two things together, and I began to realize my daddy, a third-grade dropout, was saying, boy, don't quit.
Don't quit. Yeah.
That there's something embedded in this difficult hour that can be beneficial to you, to the boys, to this world. But you'll miss it if you quit. That there's an opportunity in the midst of this struggle somewhere. Then, Camille, I started replaying Trina's last words to me.
Okay.
Now, think about this.
Yeah, that's good.
If you just hit the lotto, oh, come on, Big Daddy, tell it. If you just bought a new car,
yeah.
if you are on top of the world, it is easy to say, it doesn't matter to me any longer how long I live. This woman was 2 days away from dying.
Right.
She was a nurse. She knew.
She knew.
She realized the time of her departure had come. And she says these words, it doesn't matter to me any longer how long I live. What matters is how I live. I'm starting to think, months after Trina died, now listen to me carefully.
How I live. Okay.
How could she have hope in a hopeless situation?
She knew she was getting right.
She knew she was gonna
getting
die.
ready to die. Okay.
So now all
now
of a
we're
sudden,
getting somewhere.
Oh,
This
come
is
on,
good.
would you come on? James Brown used to say
Yes.
that. I have no idea what it means, but I love to say it.
Yes.
Think about that sentence.
Come on, would you come on?
I can hear the viewers and the listeners going, what? What in the world is going on?
Rigsby.
What is happening there?
Yes, come on, would you come on? That's real though.
So now,
Yes.
I'm at rock bottom still.
Yes.
I'm still mad, still got issues, still disappointed.
As a pastor,
As
and
a
you're
pastor.
a pastor.
As a pastor.
Yeah,
But God is starting to show me something that man can't show me.
of course.
How could this woman have hope in a hopeless situation? So I'm saying to myself, is it possible, God? Is it possible that my life will be better? Is it possible that my kids might not go through life damage? Is it possible that I might feel again, is it possible? That small step was the beginning of a huge revelation. I kept that up day after day, week after week,
Getting
month
stronger.
after month, getting stronger, to the point that I was able to say, I'm not happy with you, God, but it is well with my soul.
It is well.
I'm not
Favorite.
pleased with what happened, but I'm learning to trust you again because I'm seeing a picture that is bigger than Rick Rigsby. I'm seeing that you really want to use me to go tell the hurting people of the world it is possible to live again. Because a dying wife showed me something. She showed me that it is never hopeless. That
Never
she
hopeless, yep.
was filled with hope in the middle of a hopeless situation. It caused me to start coming up with a new definition of hope. Because this is really interesting, Camille. All my life. I mean, I can quote scripture.
Yeah,
I
you know, because you know it. It's already in there. It's
That's
already
right.
in you.
I know that Jesus is the hope of the world.
Yeah.
But I've also casually used the word hope like we all do. I hope I get a parking spot. I hope that the movie is still out when I get a chance to go see it. I hope that they have shrimp risotto tonight. And so, I'm a little hungry this morning.
Dish. That's
Come
a
on.
good dish.
Come on, girl. And so, let me ask you a question. Is it possible? I mean, you are a wordsmith, former journalist, still in media. We use words. Is it possible that we have used hope in such a casual way that we've relegated it to the basement of human emotion?
Absolutely. In fact, I was going to ask you, how do you define it?
Yeah.
Because now you've really raised the bar on
Yes.
it. Let's really examine it.
You're absolutely right. So I started thinking. I mean, my thinking is fairly young on this. I've only been thinking about this for about 20 years.
I'm thinking Hebrews, but I could be totally off base. I don't know.
And so I began thinking about how I use the word hope. How hope, if Jesus is the hope of the world,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping that Starbucks is on the next block, there's a disconnect.
Totally disconnect.
There's a disconnect. And I
Yeah.
started thinking, now hope is good, and the way that we use hope is good, but it's so casual, it has diluted the power from the word hope. And so I started thinking about, what does hope really mean?
Yep.
I began to realize that hope is far more than wish fulfillment, that hope is far more than a fleeting notion, that hope has to have some kind of transformative power. Even if you're not a person of faith, I want you to listen to this for a second.
Yeah.
There is
Yeah.
a powerful scripture that says, faith is the substance of things hoped
Hoped for.
So
Hebrews.
the presupposition is this: you can't have faith unless you have
Hope.
that the root of anything that you expect is hope. That at the very base of anything is hope. Let me break it down. Third grade dropout daddy. Son, yes, daddy.
Yeah.
Never lose hope. Never
lose hope.
lose hope. My whole life.
Yeah.
Never just stand. It doesn't matter how long I live. What matters is how I live. Third grade dropout dad, a dying wife, telling me, never lose hope. So, is hope in my BMW? Is hope in my Toyota Camry? Is hope in my Pinto? I hope not. Is hope in my bank account? Is hope in my
Better
looks?
not be.
Is hope in my stocks and bonds? Is hope in my president? Is hope in my governor? Is hope in my secretary? Is hope in my boss? Is hope in those? No. Hope is in every one of us.
Yeah.
How do you know that, Rick? Because I watched a dying wife have hope in a hopeless situation. It caused me, now can I just speed this up? It caused me to
Go for
define
it.
hope this way. This has taken several years and really clarified over this last year. I define hope as a quality within every human spirit that places a transformative demand upon the heart to believe for the absolute best outcome. There is a quality in every one of us. Every one of us wants to hope. When we're little children,
We do. Yeah.
When we're
Yep.
little children, we're hopeful. We walk through the puddle.
No
We
fear.
No fear. We're expecting the best outcome. We're not worried about the fact that our socks will get wet.
Yeah.
There is a quality inside of us that places a transformative demand upon the heart to believe for the best outcome. Here was my problem. For 40 years, I believed for my outcome, not the best outcome.
Yes.
Guess what the best outcome for my life has always been? To give people hope. Not to make Rick rich, but to give people hope.
Hope. And you've really been giving people hope for decades. You're a pastor serving in different capacities in business and ministerially. You're good.
Thank you.
You've been doing that
Yeah.
already. So when we talk about where you are now, a lot of the lessons that your dad has taught you, and what you're doing now, this new project that you have, One of the things I wanted to ask you, because you were talking about helping other people find their frequency,
Sure.
something I heard you say about a servant's towel. Tell the
Yes.
audience about the servant's towel.
Thank you for asking that.
Yeah.
So one of the lessons I learned from a third grade dropout was, son, if you really want to minimize that ego, make sure your servant's towel is larger than the ego.
Yeah.
And my father insisted that my brother and I be servants. I can't walk into a bathroom today and see a paper towel on the floor without picking up the paper towel. That when you serve, my father's theory was when you are a servant, it pushes
Yes.
you beyond the realm of you.
Yeah, yeah.
So for 40 years of my life, I was not a servant. I wanted to be served. I wanted you to serve me.
You want to be important.
Yeah. Now here I am a pastor, and I want to be served. Ain't
I
that
know.
a trip?
Isn't that something?
Ain't that something?
Tell us a little bit about the Afraid to Hope. This is your new project that I actually have the advanced copy, everybody.
Yes.
I've got the advanced
Come
copy.
on with your come on.
Autographed, and I'm very excited about it. But I know that it's going to be available coming up soon, and I want you to tell the audience a little bit about that.
Thank
and
you.
then I have a few more questions for you.
Sure. Thank you for asking. Afraid to Hope will be released on Amazon beginning January the 16th, just next week.
Just next week.
So excited. So here's Afraid to Hope in a 30-second capsule. All during those couple of years after Trina died, I didn't want to hope. I was afraid to hope. I was scared to hope. I started discovering in my travels all through the years that most people want to hope. They're just afraid.
Yeah.
They don't want to feel. It's a lot easier to stay in neutral than to move forward.
Yeah.
Forward momentum is what it's all about. That's what getting over being afraid to hope is. Harvard Business Review did a very interesting study where they asked employees, what is it that generates the greatest employee satisfaction? Camille, it wasn't money, it wasn't benefits, it wasn't attaboys, it wasn't attention, it wasn't recognition. It was when the employees sensed that forward momentum was taking place. Well, that's the way that we're created.
Yeah.
When I discovered this, being afraid to hope meant I didn't have to move forward. I could pacify myself. The problem with that is I remain passive. Whenever you remain passive, it's easy to carry a tag of victim.
And you can stay.
You stay.
You can just stay
You're
there
neutral.
and
Yeah.
make excuses.
You ever listen to why people don't do something, and it's all rooted in fear? And so I started asking myself, were my parents afraid? No.
No.
Was my wife who was dying afraid? No. And so I started asking, then what are the enemies that are causing me to not want to hope? And they were all rooted in Rick Rigsby. Comfort, convenience, pain-free, not wanting to engage, not wanting to live, all rooted based on my perception. Now listen to me very carefully. Perception is how you see something. And so all of a sudden my life has been jarred and all I see is what I've lost.
What you've lost, yes.
I haven't seen what I've gained. If all you see is what you see, then you don't see all there is that needs to be seen. Can I say that again?
Absolutely, you can.
If all you see is what you see, then you don't see all there is that needs to be seen. And so what can I do to change what I see? Because all I see is loss, a casket, and damaged kids. I had to start changing my thinking. You know, Frank Outlaw was the originator of this thought. He said, be careful, watch how you think, because it determines your words. Watch your words. It shapes your actions. Watch your actions. They shape your habits. Watch your habits. They form your character. Watch your character. It determines your destiny. It all begins with how you think. So I literally, Camille, had to move from being afraid to live, being afraid to feel, being afraid to hope, to I wonder what would happen if.
I wonder what happened.
And so I started taking baby steps to conquer my fear. Baby steps like, I'm going to have one thought of gratitude today. I'm going to think one thought of hopefulness today. In other words, I'm going to start changing my expectations and seeing what happens. Some days it worked, some days it didn't, but I just kept going. I just kept going.
Continue.
And what I've discovered is this. Most people are afraid to take those baby steps.
Absolutely, and I'm glad
because they've been hurt. And
There it
may
is.
I just say this?
Yep.
This is really, really important. What I want to say right now.
Yes.
I think that it really boils down to this. those enemies of hope, disappointments, despair, doubt, even depression. Listen to this. I wrote this down so that I wouldn't forget it.
Okay.
Those enemies are rooted in our past.
Yep.
We all have a past.
We all have one.
We're probably not, I'm not proud of mine, right? Problems. And that past and those problems, they affect our perspective. And our perspective can justify us medicating our pain. Can I say that one more time?
Yes.
We all have a past. This is
that's
why we're
good.
afraid to hope. We all have a past. Now, I'm not a psychologist,
Let that
but I'm
sit.
living it. We all have a past.
Yes.
We all have problems. They affect how we see things. They affect our perspective. And for me, it justified me medicating my pain. In other words, it was a lot easier to be afraid to hope than to take baby steps to move forward. Once I could no longer tolerate my pain, I started dreaming again and moving forward.
That'll set you free right there. What I want to ask you,
Man, I just
first
get
of all,
excited.
yeah, because really you're giving people tools.
Yeah.
I mean, you've always been a giver, whether you acknowledge it or not,
Yeah.
and motivating, encouraging. You're now coaching people, and we'll share with the audience how they can find out more information about that. But you're really talking about how people can live beyond
Yes.
their fear, live
That's right.
beyond whatever's been holding them back,
Right.
and it not just be words. Sometimes in ministry, sometimes
Yeah.
people get to a space where it's just words, and
Right.
they don't see how they can execute it
That's
and live
right.
it and walk it out.
That's right.
So you're talking about how they can actually walk it out.
Yeah.
I have to say this, I'd be remiss if I didn't. You talk a lot about how your wife encouraged you, but
Yeah.
you found love again.
Thank you. So, my buddies of 40-some years can't believe I fell in love with Trina. And I still have those same buddies. We just
Yeah.
had a reunion at Chico State a few months ago. They can't believe what happened again. A few years later, I fall in love and get married to the most beautiful woman I've ever met in my life. It happened to me twice.
That's what I wanted to get to.
A brick house, my soulmate.
Yes, again.
I even think that I don't. If this doesn't sound theologically right to you, I could care less. But I think that Trina handpicked Janet.
yeah.
First thing Janet does after we get married is adopt my children,
Wow.
fulfilling Trina's
Powerful.
last wish that her babies not go through life without a mommy. Then Janet takes pictures of Trina out and puts them on the wall so that her children can grieve and her husband can grieve in a safe environment. Then calls Trina's family and says, we will forever be close. We're as close to Trina's family now as we've ever been. And then we decided to do
Unbelievable.
something that at the time, a few years ago,
Nice.
we thought was a great idea. We decided to have more kids.
You have more children.
Lord have mercy. No, it's worked out good.
Oh, that's
but so now my
fantastic.
kids go from 4 boys,
Yeah. Oh, 4 boys.
35 to 17.
35. Wow.
But
I have that story. I know all about that.
Janet has been
That's a blessing.
there is a special place in heaven for people who marry widows and widowers because you have to have a special grace.
You do.
And Janet has heard this story for years all over the world and sits with grace. Not jealousy, but with grace. She realizes that my purpose is to help people.
Is to help
And
people.
that she has come alongside, but she is the love of my life. She is my soulmate. I want to encourage people, Camille.
Yep, 'cause-
you may have lost your soulmate.
Yes,
That
yes.
doesn't mean that your soul has died, and that it is possible to find a soulmate again. It is. You're listening and seeing a man that thought it was all over, but it's not over until God says it's over. It's just not over. And many of you, regardless of where you're walking in your faith, I want you to hear this. I hear every day people say I'm hopeless. May I tell you something, friend? There is no such thing as hopelessness until, let me say it a different way. As long as you're living, there is hope.
There's hope.
That's the way I want to say it. As long as you're
As
living.
long as you're living,
there is
there's
hope.
hope.
Yeah.
My last question,
Yeah,
and
please.
we're out of time, but certainly not out of message.
You're kidding.
And I know.
We can't go another hour?
It goes so fast. I wish we could, but we can maybe another time. What's the lesson that took you the longest to learn?
Oh my gosh, what a great question. Getting over myself, and my best friends. Me, myself, and I, or my best friends, getting over me.
That's good.
Getting over me. The focus being on me paralyzed me for 40 years and almost resulted in me not reaching my destiny and not functioning on my frequency.
That's good. Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure to have you, Dr. Rick Rigsby,
honor,
join
Camille.
us on Finding Your
My
Frequency. Thank you so much for being with us. And thank you, listeners, for joining us and listening. We want to thank you again, Dr. Rick Rigsby, for joining the show today. The show is entitled Afraid to Hope. You can find out more from Dr. Rick Rigsby by going to his website, rickrigsby.com.
Right.
rickrigsby.com, and we will see you next week on Finding Your Frequency.
And we're all clear. Great job, guys.
We're all clear,
I have to
and
say,
we went
Camille,
over, but that was
that
great.
is one
That
of
was great.
my favorite interviews that I've done with you.
Yeah, well, that's your first one.
Well, let me just tell you this.
Hey, Facebook. I know you all didn't know this.
What's
because I
up,
didn't put
y'all?
Tyler out there.
Come
But I
on,
have
what you come
Dr.
on?
Rick Rigsby with me here in the studio, and so therefore I had to.
Let me fix myself
try to
up.
go live a little bit.
How's my hair look, Camille?
His hair looks. How's hair look, y'all? Mm-hmm. His hair looks good. I hope that you have been able to enjoy a little bit of the show today. You're kind of getting a sneak peek. You're not going to get it all intentional because the show is not aired yet, not live. So I want to thank you for joining us and being a part of this wonderful conversation with Dr. Rick Rigsby. Yes, he's that Dr. Rick Rigsby, the one that's got over 149 million views out there, where he talks about what he learned from a third grade dropout.
Yeah.
New book, Afraid to Hope. Are
Yes.
you afraid to hope? I'm excited about it. I just got it today. I got an early release copy, so I'm going to be reading it. And it's all about discovering the courage to dream again.
Yes.
How powerful is that?
Yes, it is. It is. Thank you, Camille.
We'll see you all next time.
Bye, y'all.
Yeah.
Can I tell you
want
this
to have it
now?
all.
I want to tell you this.
Yes.
Like you, I've done a lot of interviews. At some point, the Lord just showed me you and just showed me woman of faith, woman of God, and I just felt the Spirit of the Lord in this place.
What's interesting is that I'm
Thank
a former
you.
pastor's wife. So
Are you
that's why
really?
when we talked, and
Yeah.
you shared some of the things, I said, God is amazing. He's
Yeah.
amazing how he does it. And, I went back and forth a little bit with your team, and I thought, okay, I'm all right, fine. I'm okay with it, Father. If he says no, I'm good, because I trust your judgment.
Well,
And
Isn't that something?
and I did. And when I let it go, because we had gone back and forth for several weeks, and then I finally heard back, I said, no, I didn't even know you were a pastor.
Yeah.
Had no idea. I just knew the story had to be told. And what's happening is, I've been in media a long time,
Yeah.
and had left media for years, went
Yeah.
and did some other things in finance, and God brought me back. And so I said, this time, if I come back, I'm going on my terms, and I got to bring him in. So a lot of what I've been doing is, I'm even building a new network, not a new network, but a new space that will be comprised of people of color from all walks of life, but mainly talking about faith
We need to stay in touch.
and life, and how God has
Yeah.
rescued them, brought them out, what they're doing,
Yeah.
how they fought back,
Yeah.
because I just think that those are the things that people really need to hear.
They do. You're absolutely
and
right.
be able to live
Yeah.
a life that's far beyond what they could have ever
Yeah.
imagined for themselves. So
Well, this was ordained of God, and let
Yeah.
me tell you why.
Tell
Just
me.
hearing what you just. So I didn't want to do this. I said to my staff, "No, there's no way. I'm on the road.
Mm-hmm.
I'm overwhelmed. I'm getting over a cold. I had a major deal with AIG that took me into last night.
that was yesterday,
$100
right?
billion company.
Yeah, I
right?
know. Mhm.
And then I fly out today, and I just need the day to rest. I don't want to do it. And Brianne said, this is a good opportunity. These folks reach a lot of folks. Why don't you pray about it? Why don't you think about it? And so I'm arguing with God, Lord, please, Jesus, God, please, I just want us to do good. And after about 5 minutes on this interview, I'm thinking to myself, God, you are so good. I'm going to call my wife right now, Janet, and I'm going to say, honey, this is one of the best moments I have had with this young lady. In fact, I'm going to call her now so you can say hi to her.
That's awesome.
And so from your perspective of, Lord, I'm going to step into my destiny. I know this is a secular place, but I'm a woman of faith.
Yeah.
And then me. And isn't it interesting how he used
I'm
the
building a
faith?
channel. I'm building a channel around spirituality.
I love it.
So, and it's only been by God's grace.
Yeah.
He has given me favor with men
Yeah.
and opened the doors.
I love that.
This show is our owner, the company's president and CEO show. I'm hosting his show.
Unbelievable.
So-
That's the Jeff, right?
And he's never done that, ever, yielded to seat, ever, ever.
You know, I was just reading.
And Ryan.
I was just reading in Proverbs that Proverbs chapter 3, as a former pastor's wife, you'll know just that if you will be kind and if you will love and if you will walk in righteousness, I will give you favor. So I'm a pastor. I know how tough it is on a marriage. Is that what?
Oh yeah. And you know, I share it. I mean,
Yeah.
I've shared it before, but not with a whole lot of people, but a
Yeah.
few folks that I find it safe to do that. We have a wonderful relationship now. We've known each other for
Yeah.
30,
Wow.
almost 33 years, and it was very tough. It was
Yeah,
very
I
tough,
can
and
imagine.
when you're growing exponentially and you don't have the right nucleus of people, I think if I ever, not if, but when I do write a book
Yeah.
or several of them, one of
Amen.
them will be about just how to support women in ministry. Because
Yes.
sometimes, and it doesn't have to just be ministry,
No.
it can be any aspect of leadership.
Yeah, you're right.
And a lot of times women don't have other women around them that are willing to be honest,
There
to
is
share
such
how,
a viciousness.
Oh, it is.
Oh my, women, I never knew.
Yes, it's really bad.
Christian.
Yes.
And to be the first lady, oh,
Yes.
you're a target.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah. You call
That's
her Janet.
Janet.
Oh, nice. She's beautiful.
doesn't look like she's in her 50s.
Wow.
Yeah.
She looks great.
Oh my gosh.
What a blessing. What's ironic is that I kind of felt that there was a little bit of turbulence because I said, he must not want to do it or they're too
don't.
busy.
Two-
And I said,
both those.
I said, okay, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I let it go.
Yeah.
And the moment I let it go, I said, God, I trust your judgment. I literally said those words.
Yeah, yeah,
She called me back and
yeah.
I said, why didn't he want to do it? He said, were you at AIG all day yesterday?
busy, yeah,
Okay.
just, I mean, we have hundreds of engagements.
Which is a blessing.
But I have to learn to protect and rest.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. So we're going to get you out of here.
No. That was the reason why.
You didn't want the
Yeah.
9:45.
No, didn't want to do it, period. It had nothing to do with you. It's just my schedule is, we've said no more. Let me tell you a couple of lessons I've learned. Do you have a second?
I do. We're good. I had blocked this time.
I've learned to say no. I've said no more in the last 3 months than I have my entire life. I'm a people pleaser. You can't do what God's called you to do and please people. I've learned to separate the brand Rick from the person Rick. If I don't do that, I'll get easily offended by the business of ministry, by the business of helping people. I'm learning lessons. I learned a lesson from Aretha Franklin. My friend is a limo driver in Dallas. He picked up Aretha Franklin in the heat of the summer.
Okay.
Aretha said, roll down the windows and turn the air conditioner off. He said they sweated all the way to the hotel. She said, thank you, baby. She tipped him and she goes, I got to protect this. And what I'm learning is that I am, like you, Camille, I am a social. If I talk all day long, I got to be on a stage again in a few hours.
Today.
I fly today, I'm on a stage again in the morning.
Okay.
I have to learn to, you know what? I could chase women. You know what it's like. You've been in ministry. You're beautiful.
I'm still in ministry. You know.
And you're beautiful. You know what it's like.
Thank you.
I could chase women. I could do anything I want. You stand on that stage and all those women see everything in you they don't see in their boyfriends and their husbands. I stay in my room. I make my room my sanctuary. I watch college football. I have salad. I worship the Lord. I have a great time. I am learning to create boundaries. Janet and I have had to learn, we have to be careful who comes in our home.
Oh,
We have,
yes.
You hear what I'm saying? And so
Spirits are real.
it wasn't about Voice America.
Okay.
It was about protecting. We don't know anything. We don't know anything. And all we know is that he's got a 4-hour window where he can rest and rest his voice.
Okay.
But something kept gnawing at our spirit. And when Fran said, I really think you need to do this, I said, I'm going to be a soldier and I'm going to do it. Within meeting you, feeling the
Even
presence.
though I was late.
It didn't matter. You need to tell my daddy.
Sorry, Daddy.
Here, me and you. Listen to me. I want you to listen to me with your heart.
Okay.
The things that God is preparing you for, the things that you've had to go through, the times that you thought, how in the world am I going to make it through this? All preparation. You can't even imagine what God is going to do through you and for you, for them kids. He's preparing you to do things that you can't even imagine. I can sense it. I can feel it in my spirit, Camille. This had nothing to do with Voice America. This was a divine appointment for me to encourage you. Die empty. Give it all you've got. Even when it doesn't make financial sense, if he says do it, do it. Don't hold back. Do it. In the name of Jesus, do it. That was the reason I was supposed to come here to encourage you. Nothing to do with this radio show. You hear me?
I received that, yes.
Girl, I can hardly even believe this. Got my big butt out of bed. Getting that big old behind out of bed, trying to deal with all this, trying to be dignified up in this.
You know, I can hold a tear for hours, especially if I got to pray or be in front of people.
Lord Jesus. Isn't God good though?
He is.
So look at what he's done. He does two things. He says, Ricky, get over you and get your butt down to that studio.
Yeah.
And then he says, Camille, I'm sending a big old fat bald-headed chocolate angel to show you that you're on the right course. That's the Lord. And he has to work through us and our ego and our agendas.